again, welcome back. If you told me after my first Speed Plague video that it had become one of Plague's strongest builds, I would probably start checking my smoke detectors. The evolution of DBD's meta has transformed this gimmicky throw build into an entire subgenre of builds that I don't even think classify as throwing anymore. Just for reference, these perks weren't available when I made my first video, these two had completely different effects, and obsession swapping was much more difficult. It's currently super easy to get to 5.2 meters a second for even longer than last time, but that's not all. As it turns out, moving faster than the fucking Legion has some unintended consequences. In my initial video, I wanted to talk about how Vile felt a little better while fully stacked. I cut that segment for the sake of brevity and just didn't investigate further. As it turns out though, that little feeling led to one of the greatest discoveries about Plague. Her purges are influenced by her momentum. Forsaken and Hydradiction discovered that when she's fully stacked, she gets a little extra range on her purges. That little revelation got me thinking, is it possible to manipulate our movement speed on the fly to use this? Yes! There's a variety of different methods, but in layman's terms, by carefully manipulating your aim in tune with a movement curve, you can reduce the velocity of your purges, which results in much tighter angles. So we can thank Speed Plague, of all fucking builds, for the discovery of waterfalls. It's crazy to think that over a year ago, we were still doing Valorant lineups to get drop shots and molding over MFT. It's kind of funny how that changes. Another thing I cut last time is how terrifying Speed Plague is outside of fiending for grabs. One of the major restrictions on the regular cute and cuddly Plague we all know is her movement speed. She can't exactly book it across the map to grab Corrupt or perform impromptu craniotomies. Speed Plague, on the other hand, never had that problem. Grabbing Corrupt is a very complicated min-maxing problem that probably needs me to put on my overalls and bow tie for. Long story short, grabbing Corrupt can be a major pressure investment that, just like the stock market, will crash and burn if you aren't careful. While we aren't stupid fast like Billy or Blight, that extra speed soothes the usual pressure loss and even opens up unique opportunities to grab it. Even if you've gotten a pretty good fountain, the speed is still really handy since it reduces burnt Corrupt time. If you have Corrupt active and don't have anyone to vomit on, or even worse, can't even vomit in the first place, then you've wasted a bit of that Corrupt. Well, yeah, you save seconds at most when it comes down to it. You need every second of Corrupt to be as impactful as possible. And as you can imagine, these two effects can be pretty clutch at times. A Plague with easier access to Corrupt is an ominous concept, but having her undetectable too is frankly haunting. Although, survivors are still able to tell where you got Corrupt, but not where you're going. Believe it or not, that's the easier to stomach part, because there's one I'm surprised I didn't mention last time. It's not a Magi video without 50 times the legal slugging limit, and oh boy, is Speed Plague nasty for it. Regular Plague can start a game-winning snowball if another survivor is about here from a down. For a fully stacked Speed Plague, it's about here. As you can imagine, the process of assessing if she can get a massive return from a slug is thrown completely out the window, in favor of the DBD equivalent of tearing off your clothes in the middle of Walmart and pummeling the ever-living fuck out of anything that moves. While we can conserve stacks, and you should whenever possible, grabs are insanely unreliable. Forgetting Plague's intense social anxiety for a second, survivors will quickly figure out what you're up to if you keep staring into the depths of their soul if you can melee them. In the span of a year, we've not only gotten a ton of haste perks, but more importantly, more perks that swap the obsession. You see, it's quite difficult to start our tomfoolery if our obsession just so happens to be AFK or a Jeff Johansson fan. To be fair, they're basically the same thing. Getting an obsession swap is much easier now since you don't even need to bring any of the swappers. DS is back, and more confident gamers will try to force you to eat it. These are the type of gamers we can easily farm stacks off, although most gamers are going for a silent assassin rating, so you know there is the other method. Banking on Decisive is just straight up gambling. Either they have it, you get the swap and you feel like a tactical mastermind, or they don't and you've just tunneled someone out at 5. Funnily enough, most of the obsession swappers are just gambling. These two have an equal chance of swapping to the 14,000 hour survivor man, who just so happens to be farming clips for a montage, or the guy who spent the past 5 rounds hiding in a corner. Despite that, Furtive Chase is exceptional. Furtive used to be very weird, and some of that weirdness was kept after its rework. It's currently a mini machine learning, and just like machine learning, it's pretty inconsistent. Most of the time, you aren't squeezing the maximum value out of these perks because it's mostly out of your control. For machine learning, it's not really a big deal since 1 or 2 uses can hit like a fucking Prius. Furtive Chase, on the other hand, is really tragic. A situation that you could encounter is that you get a couple of uses before someone on death hook becomes your obsession. I've legitimately had games where the first person I've hooked decided that they're going next. One of their teammates then rudely interrupts them from ruining the experience of 4 separate gamers. Not content with just playing it out at that point, they then book it halfway across the map to farm the hooked obsession. While that is a bit hyperbolic, that is a major flaw with Furtive. If you didn't bring anything to swap it, then you've just got a perk that's aching for more value. That just makes Nemesis and Game of Foot much better for Speed Plague. These two are able to swap the obsession consistently, which makes them exceptionally useful. Plague does have the habit of liquefying the obsession with Game of Foot, so Nemesis is obviously much better in that regard. Speed Plague without Nemesis is just high-key harassing the obsession, but with it, Plague essentially becomes the Blight, but if you just pre-game the brain damage. Guaranteeing that you can turn every chase into one with the obsession is really handy, and that's not considering Furtive. These two are as much of a power couple as Play With Your Food and Machine Learning. For starters, Nemesis basically guarantees that you can pop Furtive 12 times. This allows you to pop Furtive while Machine Learning is up. That gives us a 15% boost that can't be turned off with M1s. That's also forgetting that Play With Your Food has about 2 to 3 stacks at that point. This is a ludicrous amount of speed while undetectable, and that's forgetting that Nemesis also works for Furtive, so survivors have to deal with a Plague, moving potentially 30% faster than normal, while also having to deal with 2 separate sneaky statuses. I think at this point she's just one of the best stealth killers in the game because she is just a living jump scare.
Jesus. Okay, so the first night is never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through. What the fuck?
Plague greatly exceeds the height requirement to be a stealth killer, that being a whopping 5'2", but she's one of the deadliest. I kinda mentioned this in the previous video, but Plague's breathing is eerily similar to Meg's. Maybe I've actually lost my mind after maining this character for 4 years, but the amount of times this little quirk has caused me to look for gang stalkers in my walls is embarrassingly high. If you can overcome the Plague psychosis, then you've got a great source of easy downs. Then again, that's the whole gimmick. To get the new maximum speed is to activate a laundry list of different statuses at the exact same time. Quite a difficult task when you realize blinding Plague is surprisingly difficult. Plague can just avoid certain flashlight blinds while breaking pellets. While it predominantly affects distant blinds, you'd be surprised at how this little quirk spirals into a series of unfortunate events. You see, Plague is one of the least popular, and more importantly, one of the least understood killers in the game. Basic traits about Plague are comedically misrepresented, so you can imagine that this little quirk is completely unheard of for the general survivor population. All 3 of these factors result in what I like to call Schrodinger's Lightborn. Since they've just been on the receiving end of an enraged religious maniac with a perfectly functioning eyeball, survivors will just assume you have Lightborn. While survivors will start attempting to blind you after experiencing the rest of your build, we don't have that luxury, and that's a bit of a problem. How do you get survivors to blind you when they're certain it won't work? Sure, occasionally they'll forget, but we can't really rely on early onset dementia for perk value. As much as I concoct heinous schemes with severe consequences on human life, I haven't yet figured out how to get survivors to use their items when they don't want to. The best case solution for this is to never give them that assumption by being an actual fucking moth. Sure, if they crouch, they can blind you from more angles, but by staring into the depths of their soul, they have no possible way of messing it up. At this point, you should understand why this build is so scary. It's essentially bringing a hammer to a chess tournament. Easy downs aren't enough for me, apparently. For the sake of science, I wanted to find out if it was possible to get even easier downs, and gamers, Yes, it is. You see, a major problem with Speed Plague is stack loss. You lose them stupidly easy, and building them back up takes time. What's even worse is it takes more time to conserve a stack than it does to just clock them over the head. Hovering behind a survivor just to get an easy grab leaves you a lot of time to think. Just like allowing me to play Survivor, giving me time to think is probably one of the most destructive things humanity has ever known. I'm going to be entirely honest. I had an elaborate bit to sneak Infectious Fright into this list, but this is literally the one situation where Bamboozle is better than one of Plague's best perks. Windows are a huge issue to Speed Plague. Since window grabs only happen if a survivor gets horrifically mind-gamed, they exist to burn a ton of time for Plagues trying to save stacks. Being able to liquefy several enemy gamers is so much easier when you don't have to spend a minute building it back up in the middle of a round. Being able to manually activate the entity block saves an unbelievable amount of time, but there's a slight personal issue I have with them. The end product is insanely nutty, but just like some of the haste perks, they just don't have that special Plague sauce. Like, I get a whole 5% after vaulting a window after injuring a survivor, and it only works with injuries? Golly gee, I can't wait to sacrifice one of my Infectious Fright slots for this exemplary perk. I bring up Unbound because not only does it completely suck, but there's another perk with the exact same perk restriction, except it's fucking lying. This perk triggers on everything, including downs. I've yet to fully grasp its ramifications on Plague as a whole, but it's gotten me to rub my hands like an actual fly thinking about it. Is it some super secret S tier perk choice for her like Colro? No. Does it have some absolutely unique utility for her specifically? Yes, it does. For starters, it has the exact same issue as Blood Flavor did when they first changed it. If Jose Gonzalez 1975 reaches max infection from across the map, that triggers the perk for anyone near you. Plague is the only killer that can have Dissolution activate consecutively in one chase. Granted, we can't activate it again if it's currently up, but I'm trying to specifically avoid a certain situation right now, so why am I talking about Dissolution in a Speed Plague video? While it can be particularly deadly on regular Plague, it seems counterintuitive for Speed Plague. You see, we're not so much interested in Dissolution here as we are its counters. You see, there's two counters to Dissolution. Running halfway across the map with a speed boost to pre-throw the nearest pallet is one. Thankfully, that isn't really a thing with Plague, but I'm more focused on the second option. You see, Dissolution doesn't actually trigger if a survivor slow vaults. Elite level gamers will like to use that little detail to clip your dumbass to put in a montage. How do I know that? Well, I'd like to say I'm a self-certified elite level gamer. We can use Dissolution to bait enemy gamers into slow vaulting, which, with our extra speed, is basically an infinite grab glitch. Now, there's a slight, insignificant flaw in my scheme. Who the fuck runs Dissolution? I'm actually being serious. When is the last time you've seen a killer genuinely run this perk? Outside of Adept Dredge, this perk is rarely seen since it got taken away from the one killer I've seen enjoying it. Don't get me wrong, according to Nightlight, it's ran, but it's far from the complete meta domination of peak pain resonance and barbecue. While I was testing it before I took a 2-week vacation, I caught a grand total of 1 gamer with this strategy. So why'd I bring it up? Well, funnily enough, the more people who run Dissolution normally, the stronger the strategy becomes. Knowing that slow vaults completely counter Dissolution is a funny little cognito hazard since someone always mentions it. Fun fact, survivors are really easy to hit with the purges if they're slow vaulting, so don't worry about that if you're running on a regular Plague build. As it stands right now, this silly little strategy will only see success against people you know are elite level gamers. So I had an entire sequence of bits lined up for this ending sequence. Like, seriously, it all starts with a P100 money spread joke, but everything doesn't work anymore since they removed the ability to see P100. So after that, I was then supposed to talk about how Dissolution doesn't work with stealth effects. That's kind of important since we're spending a good deal of time undetectable with one perk alone. Dissolution is even more of a gamble now due to that. So I had an entire sequence following that revelation that ended with me being like, oh, let's go try it out. And it would be me opening CSGO cases for like 2 minutes. I don't even think I can do that bit thanks to it being literally gambling, because even though the concept is funny, I don't really want to promote that, so I guess I'll just end the video here. Oh man, I don't think they understand. I don't think they understand how good of a thing they've just given me. So I think a problem I think a lot of people run into with Speed Plague is that they are very tied to certain add-ons. I mean, I was the same with like the speed and duration not speed and duration, rubbing oil and the tincture. Very good add-ons, but you know, they don't come in handy and they don't synergize that well with the rest of the build. I mean, rubbing oil is insane. Don't get me wrong. It is legitimately one of the most broken add-ons Plague has, right? Like, you don't really think about it when it, like everyone thinks of the black, the black incense, the iridescent seal, you know, stuff like that, but no one really thinks about the rubbing oil, which, considering we're the Speed Plague, I thought it was very fitting. Oh, Michaela's here. Oh, everyone's here. Actually, why not grab this right at the start? Make myself seem like a really big threat. I'm only really grabbing this right now just because everyone's here. It's like a Smash Bros. Now, the problem with Corrupt, and especially on this map specifically, is that... Oh, hey. You want to give us an inaugural address? No? Okay. We can work with that. I, Nancy Wheeler, will make sure everyone does totems. Literally 1984. Now that we're a little bit sneaky, I don't think they are on this again, but it doesn't hurt to go check. Yes, they were on it. Nice. Cheeky little two-tap? Oh, meat! It's actually a really damn good proc of Furtive Chase. Not Furtive Chase. Well, it was a good Furtive Chase proc too, but like, that was a really good use of Corrupt. Like, if everyone's there, especially in the early game, I know a lot of the times it is save it, but if you can use it in the early game to make that big of a threat, like if there's 3 people there, Corrupt's there, that is a really good Corrupt proc, you know? Although, if you do get it later, where everyone's at max infection and, you know, then you gotta do it, then you're gaming. How you doing, dude? Thank you, Nemesis, for allowing us to sneak up on Talita Lira even quicker. What's she doing? What's homegirl doing? How you doing? Ooh, quick and quiet. No lithe, though. Nah, I don't think I will. Nah, I don't think I will. Nancy, how you doing, dude? But yeah, they sent me to this map, by the way. Just want to let you know. And I feel like a lot of the times, people try and save stacks for way too often. I feel like more often than not, if you just like immediately swing at people, it's really good. And like building up stacks really quickly isn't that big of a deal. Like as much as people give it shit, it's really not that hard. Unless you're dealing with someone who knows you how to play with your food, then it is really hard. But like, all it is, right, is just him. Back off. He's following me, by the way. He's following me. Back off, go back in, and then boom, we're getting stacks. You know, there is a 10-second cooldown, that is true. That is a certified true. We're gonna do this, get the pallet, and back off, and then we're at 2 stacks. We're gonna use that however way we like. Mainly just killing Michaela Reed. Because it's funny. You know, second thought, I didn't actually really want to kill Michaela Reed, you know, I'm trying to change my ways. That would have killed her last patch, Lamau. This should be a grab. Thank you. And that's the thing, a lot of people don't really realize what's going on until it's like way too late. Wait, they've given me a ton of fountains here, actually. They've given me a lot of fountains here. Yeah, I feel like as well, a lot of people keep trying to use Speed Plague in a way that isn't really applicable. If you know what I mean. Like, here's the thing. They always try and keep Vile. That is an insane hit, by the way. They try and keep Vile. And don't get me wrong, Vile is insane. You know what else is insane? Corrupt. And you want as much Corrupt time as possible. And a lot of people, including myself, get way too, like they get lost in the souls with Vile, when really, you should grab Corrupt whenever possible. I thought she would go through me to try and hit the vault, but no, she did not, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Ooh, here we go. Do you think, do you think she goes downstairs from this? Let's see. Let's take a gamble, chat. Let's go gambling! Oh, she was right by me. Nice. I didn't even hear her. Audio occlusion moment. How you doing, dude? Oh my god. Oh my god. But yeah, I do think a lot of people do get lost in the source really easily as a speed plague. It is certainly, as stupid as it is certainly an advanced level bit. And honestly, like, it's something I struggle with as well. Like, it's really insane. And yeah, they are kind of throwing. But like, it is a very difficult balancing act that, like, if you can nail down and in the right circumstances, is nutty. You know what I mean? Like, everything here, it just happened for a reason. I've killed a ton of people. There's a lot of blood on my hands. It can't get off. It can't get off no matter how much I wash. But yeah, when I say I've recorded so much today, like, especially with Unbreakable going on the rise, like, Unbreakable nowadays is like, it is legitimately a perk. Yeah, I'm not. Oh, you gave me an item. Okay. Your life has been secured. Your life has been secured. But yeah, a lot of people do get lost in the souls, and I definitely do that as well. And it's frustrating when you get lost in the souls because it's really exploitable. You can tell when a plague is getting, like, you know, getting a little bit too hungry. You know what I mean? Like they can't finish what's in their mouth. They keep eating. You know what I mean? They get greedy. And like, if you get hyper cleanse, which is when all your fountains get cleansed, right? If all of them reset back to normal, that will lose you the game. That will straight up lose you the game. And I don't think a lot of people realize how impactful that is. Like, if you can force that on any plague, no matter what the build is, that is devastating. Oh my god, there was an Unbreakable. It was the one person we didn't slug as well. Oh my god. Nice. GG's. I hope we don't get groaning. We get Suffo? Okay, that's fine. Is this new Suffo? It is new Suffo. I unironically love new Suffo. It's so much better than the previous Suffo. I remember I had someone tell me that Suffocation Pit was Plague's best map. And like, I'm not even gonna lie, bro. I was looking at post-game, like, it was one of those, like, really sweaty rounds where, like, everyone's, like, mad at the end of it. You know what I mean? Like, everyone is mad, or it's like, you toxic survivor, go play comp, that sort of thing. Like, when everyone just played well. I think there was someone there, by the way. There was someone there. Okay, I guess I'll go back. Jump out of lockers. This is Meg? This is Meg. Okay, she's got a beamer on her. Nice. This guy's name is Dream? Like the Minecraft dude? Do I have to like place the speed, like the manhunt fucking music over the, like over this chase? Questions? Okay. I'm gonna back off like that. Back to the previous point I was bringing up last time. Is, yeah, I feel like a lot of plagues get way too lost in the source with, like, play with your food. Well, yeah, it is insane speed. You don't actually need that much. You know what I'm saying? Like, 2 stacks is, like, that's 2 survivors you can get, right? That's 2 chases. And, yeah, it takes, like, 20 seconds to get it. That's fine. Oh, hold on. Hello, you. And the cleanse, too? We're dealing with cleansers? Oh my god, be still, my beating heart. Is that enemy gamers over there? That is enemy gamers. Off it. Off it. Yeah, get off it, you Jib. Oh my god, she's like blue. Dealing with like the Smurf. Oh my god. By the way, you want an immediate tip to improve your purges? Don't do what I just did. Like, seriously, don't do what I just did. Like, it is insanely difficult to get up that close to a survivor and actually succeed with a purge that close up. It is ridiculously tough. Ridiculously tough. Wow, we got a whole lot of nothing in terms of hooks over here. I really wanted to go over here to apply machine learning, but I think we can end up baiting the team here. We got 2 downs, and that equals 2 fountains. Now, like I mentioned, like last game, I really do have to be on top of this because this does seem like a team that is trying to hyper cleanse me. Hyper cleansing is bad for your health. It's like pure asbestos for like a developing plague. Okay. You know how you keep a plague healthy? You know how you keep a plague happy and healthy? A little developing plague? You give her loads of slugs, no unbreakables, you know, plenty of corrupt. But you don't hyper cleanse her, right? It's like over hydration. It's like drowning her. You know what I mean? It's like a plant. Is she giving up? Oh my god, she is giving up. Amazing. But yeah, I will admit, like, filming this has been insanely frustrating due to, like, everything I've mentioned previously. Like, actually getting lost in the source is such a huge problem. Because at the end of the day, right, you are playing Woman with Flail if you aren't grabbing Corrupt. I was hesitating there because I wasn't sure if Meg was kicking around. Like, you see teams like that, they tend to like actually group up in like that manner where like someone goes down and then like someone other guy will like Skyrim random encounter around the corner and be like, heard they're reforming the Dawn Guard outside a fort near Riften. Might consider signing up myself. This is also another game where like nothing happens. You know what I mean? This is just like a game where I get like 2 stacks and kill someone. Which, granted, is definitely a thing. And it is a problem with speed play. Like, if no one stuns you, if no one blinds you, you don't get hit with a decisive. Do you think she knows? Yeah, okay. Do you think she knows? I don't think she knew. I don't think she knew. Egg? Stacks? Yes, please. Stun me. Thank you. Dumb Tech? Dude, Dumb Tech champion 3 years running? Thank you. Very confident gamers. I love this. I'm actually in love. Okay, let's try and play with him. Cause like even Jin kind of gave up. She was like, "God, dude, I gotta file my taxes." Honestly, real. Oh. My game just fucking crashed. Okay, well, I guess that's a good end to the video. Yeah, you pull so hard and then the game just fucking dies. Yeah. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you don't, you'll begin to cough in 4 days.